Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. We're going to take on another one of these Am I the Assholes? So this is a good one because it's a workplace one. Am I the asshole for ignoring my boss and blocking his number on my vacation? My boyfriend, 29-year-old male, and I, and she's a 26-year-old female, are currently long distance. We take turns visiting each other. He came to see me after almost 2 months of not seeing each other. We finally were able to make plans. I requested to have 5 days off, and the request was approved for my job. I've worked in my job for 6 years. It was after my shift, and I was heading out quickly. I had to pick my boyfriend up from the airport. I clocked out of my job, and while I was saying goodbye to everyone, my new boss of 2 weeks stopped me, and he asked if I could cover a shift, since one of my coworkers had called in sick. We're short-staffed, and he needs me to stay for a couple hours more. I'd had a 10-hour shift, and I was exhausted. So I responded, no, I'm sorry, but I'm unable to, and I can't stay late. I've covered before in the past. I don't mind, but I had someplace else I had to be. I mentioned I was picking up someone at the airport. He told me they could take an Uber. My boyfriend wouldn't be happy with me if I did that with him. Also, he has no key to my apartment. And she hasn't seen him in 2 months. No one else wanted to stay, and I was the third person he asked to do that. He asked to, and that who said no. I said, sorry, I can't tonight, but I could do it another time. The boss then called her a lousy worker and said that she's not a team player. I said, I guess I'm not a team player then, and walked past him. I called out to him that I would see him in 5 days. While driving to the airport, I kept getting calls and texts from him. It got so bad that I had to pull over to turn off my phone. My boss wanted me to come back to work. I had to turn on my phone so my boyfriend could contact me. My phone was flooded with text messages, ding after ding. I think I got close to 15 texts. I blocked his number. I was so happy to see my boyfriend. I was getting emails from my boss constantly when I was supposed to be on my time off. This is beyond that shift. I didn't respond to, and I rarely take vacation. One, he was asking me stuff that I didn't know the answer to. Second, even if I did, I'm not telling him. I don't know, I was starting to get petty. This is actually kind of dark. I still had fun with my boyfriend. When I went to work, my boss called me into his office. He blew up at me for being unprofessional, and he's still new to this job. I should have helped or at least replied to the emails. I responded that other people could have helped him. It's not my responsibility when it's my vacation time. I got my first write-up ever. Is there something I'm missing? Did I do something inherently wrong here? I'm actually considering whether I should report him. He is still new to his job. Am I the asshole? And the person says, I'm Canadian. I live in British Columbia. They went on to send an email to HR with all the emails, texts, call logs, and any other evidence I have. Smart. My job isn't an on-call job, so I don't understand why he was bothering me. He is my age, roughly. Now she goes on to say, on a happier note, my boyfriend and I are now planning to move in together. This person is employed as a security guard in a department store. They like their job. HR is setting a meeting up tomorrow for her and her boss. I don't love that. We'll talk about that in a minute. My boss tried asking me out in his first week of working, but I turned him down nicely. There's the puzzle piece. Thank you for everyone's support. When I posted this, I thought I was being a little dramatic. I'm glad I'm not the crazy one. No, I decided that I'm going to look for a new job. I still want to do security work, but I'm just going to move on. Don't worry, I'm still going to complain about my boss and report him. Okay, so here's what's interesting. Oh, now I just actually, I figured that. Okay, so toxic behavior in the workplace is actually where some people say, you know what, wasn't my family, not my partner, it's my workplace. Not uncommon. Obviously, all these narcissistic people that people are in relationships with have jobs. So if you happen to have the bad, the misfortune of working with them, well, then this is this. So there's layers to this one. And I'm reading all the way through. It's giving the layers. I had to read this a couple times to get them. Which speaks to me being a little slow. But So here's a person, just from a straight up workplace thing, is a shift worker. It doesn't sound like a salaried employee. Did the shift, clocks out. Boss asks this person to cover. She says, no, I can't. Boyfriend she hasn't seen in 2 months, going to the airport. Deeply inappropriate for that boss to have made the suggestion, oh, go send an Uber for someone to work this shift. And then the number of calls and text messages when this person clearly said, I can't do this, that to me is on the level of stalking. Okay? Now we know narcissism and stalking go together. People who stalk tend to be narcissistic. Lack of empathy, entitlement, arrogance, grandiosity, poor boundaries, all of that. Those go together, right? So it's stalking behavior. The person was appropriate. They said they couldn't do the shift. And then what was interesting was he then said, and this is classical in gaslighting narcissistic managers and bosses. When this person said, when they had asked for the vacation time, waited for it, got it, that they were a lousy worker. That right there is gaslighting. That's not the reality at all. This person took vacation time and now is being called a lousy worker and not a team player. Calling someone not being a team player when they're actually setting boundaries is the ultimate gaslighty narcissistic move in the workplace. The person showed some moxie and said, I guess I'm not a team player, and walked out. So just kind of basically met the narcissistic person, the narcissistic boss, where he was. So the person then goes and again keeps getting, like I said, got all the calls, the stalky behavior, all of that. And then she blocked the boss's number. Highly appropriate. There's no reason for that boss to have to reach an unsalaried employee, an hourly worker, when the person is officially on a vacation, right? Person has a good time on the vacation time and then gets called back into the boss's office, right? And the boss rages. Okay, so rage, narcissism also go together. And uses the I'm still new at my job. So you're incompetent. And so you're raging at someone else for not being able to do the job. And while this person was on vacation, getting all of those emails, expecting them to be answered by an hourly employee, again, not appropriate. Not how it works. I don't know what Canadian labor laws are. You wouldn't get away with this in most places in the United States. So now the person's wondering, am I missing something? Definitely not the asshole. This is an HR issue, could even be elevated to a legal issue because of the workplace stalking. And again, this person lives in Canada, so I don't know what their civil litigation works like. This would be a lawsuit in the United States. And so, but here's the additional rub when I read further down. This guy, poor boundaries, as all toxic people have, asked her out in her first week. So obviously, her boyfriend's coming out of town. He's attempting to spoil that experience, get in the way of that relationship, and then literally harasses her to basically attempt to ruin her time with this boyfriend, which she had her happily ever after. She's moving in with the boyfriend. But that, again, that workplace harassment, the majority of workplace harassment is perpetrated by people with narcissistic or antagonistic personalities. So everybody out there, and I get this old pushback all the time, oh, come on, blah, 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 narcissism, you're using that word too much, meh, meh, meh. Actually, when we want to understand things like workplace harassment, which is quite traumatizing, very expensive when you look at it from a litigation point of view, and at times elevates to and escalates to illegal behavior. You understand narcissism, you understand workplace harassment, which is what this is. And likely a sort of a sexual harassment case, because when a person says, I'm going and I'm off for 5 days and I'm headed to the airport, the conversation's done. The boss may be frustrated, but the boss was clearly trying to interfere with the capacity to see for this woman to see her boyfriend. And it's likely she was speaking about having this time to spend time with her boyfriend. What really bothered me, though, about this scenario is when the HR people were actually going to have the woman meet with the boss, with HR present. I am not a fan of policies and procedures that put a person who has been harmed in the same room as a perpetrator. That is something that should be handled separately. And only once HR assesses the comfort of the individual who was stalked and harassed in the workplace should they ever be made to sit in the same room as that person again. The other thing that troubles me, I totally agree with this woman's decision, by the way, of getting a new job, 100% agree. But isn't that what keeps having to happen? The healthy people, the harassed people, have to leave jobs. And I guess what that means is that the toxic people hit critical mass in certain employment situations because the employers never have the will to remove those toxic employees. They're so much more concerned with protecting themselves in that way. And in that way, the narcissistic folks actually use these rules, regulations, and policies to their advantage more. They're supposed to protect people, but they end up protecting toxic people and narcissists more than they protect everyone else. Because these sort of wheels of justice move so slowly that people just move on to other jobs. So she definitely did the right thing. But this is a great example of that idea of shaming. I guess you're not really a loyal employee. I guess you're a lousy worker. I guess you're not a team player. Right there, though, that's the gaslight. That's what happens in toxic places all the time. When a person does their job, does it right, follows the rules, and when they are not willing to play to the toxic agenda of a boss or a manager or something like that in the workplace, that they are shamed for being a bad worker. That's the ultimate workplace gaslight. I wish her and her new boyfriend well in their new life together. And I hope she enjoys her new job because and is able to be abuse-free in that job, but definitely not the asshole. And like I said, in the United States would have a pretty darn strong legal case. Thanks again.